What about all of the Republican leaders, though, who are abandoning him, Newt? I mean, this is an issue because they're not doing him any favors. You know, you got leaders coming out saying they're not going to support Donald Trump. The Clinton campaign has latched onto it. They've launched this Together for America, a group that aims to embrace GOP defectors. She's moving on it.
Yeah, and she should be, and that's smart on her part. On the other hand, I would describe it as Together for the Corrupt Establishment. I mean, the fact is, and you saw this the other day with the national security people.
Right.
Trump is challenging the last 30 years of how we've approached, for example, dealing with Islamic supremacism. And he's made the point that nobody wants to debate him on, that we have been in a war for 15 years and we're not winning. Well, the people who ran that war for Bush and the people who ran that war for Obama are united in not wanting to have that debate. So what they want to say is it's all Trump's temperament. Well, it's not all Trump's temperament. There are serious problems in America. We had 9 people killed in Chicago on Monday, the president's hometown, over 3,400 dead in Chicago since Obama was sworn in, more Americans killed in Chicago than in Afghanistan and Iraq combined during the Obama years. The Democrats do nothing about it. And you go through item after item like this. And then what they want to do is they want to yell temperament because they can't debate any of the serious issues.
Yeah. Here's Shelby from the Journal.
Hey, Newt, I got a question for you. We're talking a lot about polls, and one of the reasons Clinton is up in these swing states is she's incredibly organized. She has the ability to advertise and attack Donald Trump when he makes a comment that people misinterpret. Does Donald Trump show any signs of wanting to advertise in swing states or have a ground game come November?
Oh, sure. Look, first of all, the Republican National Committee under Chairman Reince Priebus has the biggest ground game in Republican history. They have huge number of field people all across the country, and I think that you're seeing an integrated effort between the Republican National Committee and Trump. Second, Trump raised $82 million last month. He's putting money in the bank for the post-Labor Day campaign. She's putting money on television right now. The election ain't right now. I've been through this before. I watched some friends of mine running for re-election to the Senate, and they suppressed their opponent. They suppressed their opponent for week after week, and then sometime around September 15th, it all washed out.
Wow.
And I think she's going to find the same thing here.
So you think he could come back? You think he could come back then?
Oh, I think he will come back. I tell everybody, I think the correct analogy to this year is Harry Truman in '48, when people thought he was so far behind at Labor Day that Gallup quit polling.
Yeah.
Because they thought the election was over. And Truman understood that if he was very aggressive and very vigorous and told his version of the truth, that he could beat Dewey.
Right.
He couldn't beat Dewey by doing what the New York establishment wanted, but he could beat Dewey doing what Missouri wanted. And I think Trump is very similar. Trump represents a profound insurgency in this country against a corrupt Washington establishment. And again, this morning, you have more examples of corruption. It's phenomenal that the Democrats would nominate a person this corrupt and try to get us to make her president.
Here's Anthony Scaramucci.
Mr. Speaker, given what you just said about the corruption and what we know about the mainstream media, how would you advise the Trump campaign to really get this out to the average voter?
I would advise them to make it bigger, not smaller. This isn't just about Hillary Clinton. This is about an entire system of corruption. We're at a point that this system has so disturbed the country. We have the lowest home ownership in over 50 years. Wow. The system is so bad, we've had 3,400 people killed in Chicago. The system is so bad that you know that the levels of crony corruption, and we're seeing day after day, it's not just Hillary Clinton, it's an entire system of corruption. She's the personification of it, and frankly, a number of the Republicans who are siding with her are insiders whose life would be changed if Donald Trump became president. I happen to think it's good for America to break up the Washington system and to get back to being a much more open country.
Yeah, but something is not clicking because, you know, for example, he had this economic speech earlier this week. I would think that you know, as a supporter, you want him to ride that economic speech.
Right.
And instead, you're talking about, I mean, he's talking about lots of different subjects instead of just writing that economic speech and trying very hard to make it resonate with somebody who is worried about economic growth, who is worried about their job.
Sure.
How is he going to do that?
Well, what he's got to learn to do is to take one theme for a week, stay on it, do it at every single rally, figure out a different angle every day, because you guys won't cover the same speech 5 days in a row.
Right.
But you could do a different angle on economics for 5 straight days. You know, the Reagan people had this problem. They literally had to pull off the trail in August of 1980 and spend 2 days in a senior leadership meeting trying to get reorganized because they'd had such a terrible start after the convention. And they finally figured out, one, don't give the media something to attack you for, even if they're going to have to lie about it to do it. Two, figure out what the key big themes are, drive them into the ground, say them so often that you're bored to death, but the average American's just starting to hear them. And they got to be very good at that. By mid-September, Reagan had a very, very powerful rhythm that Carter couldn't cope with.
All right, it's going to be a big fall, that's for sure. A big autumn. Newt, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Newt Gingrich there.